In this episode, I'm going to show you how we got our water from looking like this to looking like this, and our pond and filter setup from looking like this to looking like this. Things are about to get wet. Hello! Wait, hang on. Chin chin. I'll wake you up. Hello! When we bought this fixer-upper last year, we were absolutely thrilled to find that there was a fish pond in the garden. Absolutely thrilled beyond belief. However, I'm not so sure the fish were quite so happy. The pond was in a diabolical state. There was a pump and a filter, but the filter was kind of temperamental. It worked sometimes it didn't, and the water was pretty grimy. Now, we tried 3 different approaches to cleaning the water. Number 1, adding something to the water. Number 2, removing stuff from the water. And number 3, rerouting the water through a bog filter, which, spoiler alert, ultimately worked a treat. If you're planning something similar yourselves, if you have a pond, or if you're just plain curious, there's tons of material out there on YouTube already. So I'm only going to go through 1 and 2 very, very briefly before we get to the main event, which is designing, building, and maintaining a bog filter, which is, let's be frank, the star of the show. Okay, I need to be really careful not to get these 3 mixed up. I put 3 things in the pond to clean the water. These 2 chemicals, I'll get into them in a second, and hay bales. Hay bales! Hay bales are a really, really easy, straightforward, natural, and sort of foolproof way of cleaning your pond water. It is a bale of hay. It's usually wrapped in some sort of netting. You chuck it in the water, sinks to the bottom, and once it's there, after a while it starts to cultivate healthy bacteria that helps clean up the water. That brings me to these 2 chemicals. Crystal Water by Tetra and Blagden's Green Away. They've got tons and tons of 5-star reviews online, so odds are I either used them incorrectly or maybe I wasn't patient enough. I should have given them more time. Both kind of helped clean up the water, however, not perfectly. And this one, the Blagden one, in fact, at one point started creating this sort of foam on the surface of the water, which didn't look very nice. It had a certain smell to it. I'm sure I did not overuse it, but it still did that. I tried 3 or 4 treatments, let's say, and then I gave up on it. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. We took out every bit of debris, leaf, fish turd, you name it, out of that fish pond. First, we had to empty the pond, and yeah, we probably could have just used the pump for this rather than buckets and elbow grease, but it would have taken a lot longer, and frankly, we didn't think of that solution at the time. We migrated the fish to temporary vessels. In the meantime, a bunch of other vessels, containers that we ensured were clean and safe for the fish, and at the risk of being a little too schmaltzy, I want to single out 1 single fish. Goodness knows we probably have too many fish in that pond, and at some point we'll have to deal with that. Most of them are orange, golden you might say. One is really, really pale, almost white. But then there's one teeny tiny one that is dark grey, essentially the same color as the lining, and we didn't see him. And so picture the scene. We've emptied the entire pond, and in the pond there's a little shelf, and there was I guess a teeny tiny little bit of a puddle on that shelf. We're outside of the pond, and all of a sudden I see something kind of moving on that shelf, and I look more closely and I see it is a fish. It's a teeny tiny dark grey fish that is still in the pond. It has no water, it's suffocating, and it's just flip-flopping around on that shelf. And so I jump into the pond, I scoop him up with my hands, and I carried him to one of the buckets into the water. And I've only named 1 fish in the pond, and that is that fish, and his name is Capaldi. And guess what? He's still in there. As I said, the filter only sort of worked, so a few months later, the water once again looked like this. Hiya. We are still waiting for, sorry, there's a siren going off in the background. We are still waiting to hear back about the chimney, or more specifically the chimney removal. That's the chimney up there. But in the meantime, we are going to get on and build this brand new bog filter to sort of supplement or possibly even replace the existing filter. I've just turned it off now because it's really loud on the mic. So what is a bog filter? You'll see what we've built here is basically a gigantic planter, and that's in many ways what a bog filter is. There are lots of channels, by the way. I'm going to link to a few of them down below that really go into detail about what a bog filter is, how it works, and how you build it. Sort of the main channel that springs to mind is Ozpon's, fabulous chap. So in very broad strokes, while that filter is a mechanical filter, it has lots of mesh and foam and whatever else in there that as you pump dirty water through it, that mesh, that foam is going to catch all of that grime, and then the only thing that slips through is clean water, cleanish water. While that is mechanical in nature, this is going to be organic in nature, biological in nature. As you can see, we've built a gigantic box. We'll rewind and show you all the goodness of how we actually built this in a little bit. We're going to line this so that it's waterproof, and then we're going to fill it with rocks, and then we're going to plant within those rocks oxygenating plants and plants that are specifically chosen to essentially feed off of some of the nutrients in the water, nutrients that maybe make the water less clear. So unclear water is going to be pumped into this, rise through the rocks. The rocks will allow bacteria to grow, which also help feed off those nutrients. It'll rise through the roots of those plants so that those plants also absorb some of those nutrients, and what is left should then be much clearer. That's the aim anyway. I would like this pond to be super duper crystal clear, and for the water to be really healthy and just a happier environment for the fish to live in. So how do we build this box? I assembled the box using dowels and glue, and to help me with those dowels I got this fabulous doweling jig. Just found it on Amazon. Have a look online, you'll find a million of them. Super duper useful. It seemed like the kind of thing that shouldn't take too long, but in the end, I worked on this box until it was pitch black outside. Day 2, we sanded the whole box and we built some dividers for the internal segments. What am I talking about? I'm glad you asked. Kat very rightly pointed out that if I turned the entire box into a massive bog filter, which was my plan initially, then we would need to get a metric ton of rocks and pebbles. You can usually buy rocks and pebbles and whatnot in sacks of 20 to 25 kilograms. 25 kilograms of rocks take up like no space at all. So what we decided was to divide the planter, this massive box, into 3 parts. The first would just be a planter, which would be just decorative. Then we would have a mechanical filter, essentially to replace the mechanical filter that used to be there, but we would build it from scratch. And then after that would be the biofilter, the bog filter. The spot where the bog filter was going to go was pretty overgrown as well. The cat made very quick work of the triffids in the garden. Hiya. We are still waiting for... Sorry, there's a siren going off in the background. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I thought building this box was going to take like a couple of hours. It did not take a couple of hours, it took most of the day. This box is not completely weatherproof, so what we're doing right now, I'm sealing it and I'm using Dulux? Yeah. Weather Shield Preservative Primer. So I'm priming it, giving it a couple of coats. That's going to then soak in and dry for 24 hours. And then tomorrow, Kat is going to paint this planter. She's picked a color. You'll have to wait and see which color she picked. After that's done, we're going to line it. We've got pond liner to go inside of it. We're going to drill holes and do all the like plumbing inside and actually adding, like plugging the pump into it and so on and so forth. Moving this thing into place is going to be a real big job, by the way. Anyway, so time to prime it. Hiya. It's super late o'clock, it is pitch black out there and it is freezing cold, so I have once again put on something like, I'm going to say conservatively 17 layers, and I'm going to pop outside because tonight, after a long day of work, I'm going to put a first coat of paint on the bog filter. It's very exciting. Anyway, it's not going to get any brighter out there anytime soon, so come on, let's pop outside. And then lightning struck, metaphorically, almost literally. It rained for an aeon, which meant we couldn't work in the garden. And when it stopped raining, as mentioned in a previous episode of Elementary Renovation, our drill basically caught fire and melted in my hand. I used 2x8s to build that box, and that drill isn't made for that kind of thing. I made a massive mistake and ordered the wrong replacement drill, and then I had to order another drill and wait for that, and yada yada yada. So in the meantime, we took a step back from the bog filter. Kat got an SDS drill, which we used on the wall and on the ceilings upstairs. If you haven't seen that episode, watch it. We had so much fun with that SDS drill. And then when it finally stopped raining, I took that SDS drill outside, and that SDS chewed through those 2x8s like it was nobody's business. Hey.
Cheers.
Oh, chin chin.
Sunday morning.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday morning. Tell me what we've got to do today to finish the bog filter.
Okay, here we go. Here's the very short list. Prime the wood, paint the wood, route to the outlets, line the boxes, thread the inlet pipe, that's the white one, make holes in the crate, connect the outlet pipes, that's the grey ones over here, clean location over there and remove the old filter, cut the plastic platform that this is going to sit on, move the box into place, connect the pump, test it at that point before we put any rocks in then, clean the rocks, position the rocks, plant the bog plants, and then, yeah. Maybe clean the pond a little bit.
That's it, is it?
That's it.
Oh my goodness. Cheers.
Chin.
Wish us luck. amazing. That slaps. 2 cashmere jumpers on, thick woolen socks, different shoes, and a coat and a hat. Amazing. So I'm ready.
You look incredibly warm. How you doing?
Right, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Well, check out what we...
Oh my God, you've done so much amazing work.
Check out what we got. So, water inlet.
Inlet.
Underneath soil and flowers. It'll bump over this, but that will also hide the seam. And if there's anything wrong, at least we know where the pipe is, so it'll be a little bit easier. It goes down here. I'll make a few holes in this, because the water will then rise through this. And then I'm thinking only making holes along the top. Yeah. Not the whole way, like in that video that we saw. Because otherwise, all the mesh and stuff is wasted, isn't it? Japanese mesh goes here, rocks go here. And
then get it into place then?
I mean, I genuinely think we can. Let's make some holes in that pipe first. Oh, and this is just dry fit, so it needs it still needs to be glued. We also haven't. Sorry? You have to glue it, do you? Yeah, I've got the PVC cement here.
Leon, you've done such a fantastic job. Oh, shall I?
It's getting there, eh?
We need to cut the plazziwaz. Oh, I've got mine on.
Oh yeah, we do need to cut the plazziwaz. Do you want to cut the plazziwaz?
I was actually going to clean these.
Let's go and charge this and. What now? I'll clean that then. Yeah. And then, first off, it seems like it's working. Secondly, it seems like it's leaking. Look at that. I don't know if that's coming across on camera. There it is. There's a leak. Oh, there you go. That's not good. I mean, obviously that inlet and that outlet are interim, like it's interim plumbing on the outside. Yes, I need to deal with that little leak, but otherwise, I am super happy with this. I cannot believe that we just did this. The plants. Here's another lesson for you. Don't buy a cheap pond liner off Amazon. Clearly this liner had sprung a leak somewhere. Given that we were chucking about 100 kilograms of rocks into it, maybe isn't super surprising. This is the pond liner that I got on Amazon. If you want my recommendation, do not buy it. Avoid it. And if you're going to buy it for like your worst enemy. So we went online to buy a new pond liner, and this time we went to a proper pond company, the pondpeople.co.uk. We're not sponsored, we're just fans. The liner that we got from them, holy moly, it became so clear to us immediately as soon as it arrived, just like the weight of it, we realized the liner that we got on Amazon, that was a bin liner. This is the real deal. And yeah, we had to shovel about 100 kilograms of rocks out of that bog filter. No leaks yet. So we've got 8 plants.
Yeah, do you want your plants?
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, look.
Yes.
Oh my god, this is so exciting.
Ta-da! What a quick and easy project that was. The bog filter is essentially done. The plant is already hosting some really nice colourful flowers. The mechanical and biological filter are doing a great job of cleaning up the water. The water is really nice and clear. Okay, full disclosure, there are three things we'd like to do. Firstly, we've been talking about putting a small frame just around the top of the box, and that would be to press down and hide the fringes of the liner, just because it's looking a little untidy at the moment. Secondly, we want to put a lid on top of the mechanical filter in the middle, just to hide it, and we painted the same pink and probably put some water plants on top of that. And lastly, I'd like to put an emergency waterfall, basically where my shadow is pointing right now, in case the outlet pipe gets clogged for some reason. Let's say some debris gets in there and it prevents the water from rushing out that way, then worst case scenario, the water would cascade back down into the pond through that waterfall. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was fun. If you're working on, or if you're thinking of working on a similar project, then let me know in the comments below and we can geek out about it. If you do want to give this video a like, feel free. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but I would appreciate it. I will, however, wholeheartedly encourage you to subscribe to this channel because a lot of stuff is about to kick off. For those of you who have been following along with our journey, thank you so much again for doing so. Tons of you have been asking us, when are we actually going to get around to doing our bathroom? Good news, it's coming up very, very shortly. And in the meantime, Kat and I have already started pulling out floorboards and mapping out and figuring out where to run pipes, because alongside that enormous project of renovating our bathroom, we have decided to take on another enormous project, namely installing central heating in this house, just as it's getting nice and toasty outside. I hope to see you in the next one. Chin chin.